Hello again, hockey fans. Are you ready to brave the wild? With me, your host, Paladino Joey, or Joey Awajan. Brave the Wild is available on all of your favorite podcasting apps. I thank each and every one of you once and always for downloading and listening to this show. Brave the Wild, of course, is also on the Hockey Podcast Network. I thank Dylan and Kyle once and always for having me on board. It is a great appreciation. I thank each and every one of you once and always for downloading and listening to this show. It is a great pleasure to be back and forth with you once again today. Well, I woke up today. It was dark, cloudy. Now the sun's shining. All right. Finally, the sun's shining. At least physically. in the Twin Cities and in the Twin Cities here in Golden Valley, Minnesota. For the Minnesota Wild, not so much. It was pretty dark and cloudy and stormy. The Wild carve out one victory versus Columbus, and by the skin of our proverbial teeth, with a rare empty net goal, where last year we had a bunch of those. This year, not so many. Well, the Minnesota Wild get through this week 1-3. So one game where the Wild kind of sort of tried and beat one of the worst teams in the league. 3 other games where the Wild got obliterated by the Tampa Bay Lightning and twice by the Dallas Stars. We didn't get beat, we got obliterated. Pretty much like no-shows in most of the games, honestly, except for like the first period of the 4-0 loss to the Dallas Stars of the rookie goalie in his first ever game. Well, it's a nice start for him, I guess. It's all downhill from here. It's gonna be real easy now for Matt Murray. Well, probably not, but yeah, Matt Murray. That name sounds insanely familiar, but it's not the same guy. He's the Dallas Stars rookie goalie. We'll get to our topics here pretty quick. You could probably guess, but I'm going to try not to babble on about just game reviews because most of these games are unreviewable. A 4-1 loss to Tampa in Xcel Energy Center. The Minnesota Wild dropped below 500 in ridiculous fashion. Exciting names here with the Wild's one goal. Zach Bogosian with his first goal with Minnesota. Ellis Goligoski and Ryan Hartman assisting on it. That's about all you need to know, other than Marc-Andre Fleury had a pretty darn good week, I'd have to say. I thought he was pretty solid, making some nice saves and everything, but just not a whole lot of effort in front of him. Vasilevsky wasn't really challenged all that much, only 23 shot attempts. Marc-Andre Fleury made 26 saves out of 29 shot attempts, and then you had the empty netter to wrap things up for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Just, I don't know, an effortless kind of a performance. I'm not going to get heavy in the game review on that one. Just, again, an effortless performance. And I don't know, that's kind of been the story of the season of late. Yes, you have guys out, especially really important ones, but other guys can step up. And occasionally this other guy named Matt Boldy steps up, which he did do versus Columbus. And he also had a few points last night in the demolition derby for poor Jesper Wallstad, left out to a firing squad in Dallas. Yeah, it was pretty lousy, to say the least. But yeah, Matt Boldy, who's kind of like he's there, he's not there, he's there, he's not there. Talk is that he's more of like a sidekick type of a star, I guess you could say, if you can even call him a star. Yeah, he might make an all-star game or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 in his career, but I don't know. He's certainly not anybody who's going to save your franchise. He was wonderful in March last year, but where was he the rest of the season, including the postseason? I don't know. I think you know what that sound effect means. Yeah, that's pretty much where he was. The Columbus game, yeah, he decided to show up a bit in this one. 8th place Columbus Blue Jackets, 13, 19, and 9. 9 shootout losses. The Wild have 4 shootout/overtime losses. Or maybe you get 1 point, you get 3 for a win and 2 for, what am I even talking about? Yeah, 2 for a shootout win type of deal. And then, and then 0 for a flat-out loss. Well, we got the Professional Women's Hockey League flashing in front of me right now. No Minnesota Wild, no Minnesota Timberwolves on Bally, which is fine. Hey, it's nice to see. You got the Minnesota hockey team versus the Toronto hockey team. I mean, the jerseys are fine. It's just that there's no logo, so that's the funny part. We look like the LA Kings about 20 years ago, and Toronto looks like the Tampa Bay Lightning about, kind of like now. They look a lot like the Tampa Bay Lightning, honestly. Go Bolts? No, go Kings. Kings are going to win this one, I hope. Yeah, we look like the LA Kings, definitely. Yeah, well, good luck. I hope this works out. It looks well financed and well planned and everything. So yeah, why not? It does. Looks like they got a shot at something this time around, and I'm surprised they didn't with the Whitecaps and in that league. But I don't know. Anyhow, sorry, I'm distracting myself, but I know everybody wants to talk about it, so I might as well talk about it for a moment there. The Minnesota Wild victorious versus Columbus. This will be our last win forever. Jesus, criminy. Sorry, I'm really being inappropriate here. But I don't know, because I don't like to talk like that. The Minnesota Wild, again, well, we're victorious versus Columbus. You fall behind early, well, kind of early, with Cole Stillinger getting his goal. But then Boldy would wind up with multiple goals. Stillinger would wind up with multiple goals. Actually, in fact, a hat trick for Cole Stillinger. So we get a hat trick. Goals number 5, 6, and 7 for him. And the Columbus Blue Jackets take a 3-2 lead fairly late in the third period with Marcus Johansson, by the grace of God, able to score from Ryan Hartman with the empty net. Again, a very rare empty net goal the past year and a half or so. Like, it just died. It just stopped happening. Yeah, but Marcus Johansson with only his 5th goal of the year, which again is an insane frustration. Matt Boldy, 12 and 13. Again, the guy could probably have like 20 plus this year if he was like more of a consistent player. Just again, it's the no-shows that just drive you nuts, because clearly the guy has a skill, does Matt Boldy. Brock Faber, multiple assist game, getting his numbers up more and more and more. He's now at 20 points on the season, and he's on pace for 41 points is Brock Faber. So, how they do the projections and such. So, 41 points. That's an awesome rookie year for a guy that was not looked on as an offensive player. So, an insane positive in that light. But everywhere else, except for, again, Marc-Andre Fleury, I think he's been pretty good, ultimately. But he shouldn't be counted on as like the only goalie, basically. And then you got to throw a rookie elite prospect probably a year early or a half a year early to the Wolves against the Dallas bleeping Stars. I think he's mentally tough enough. He'll be fine. But it's just, I don't know, if it were to keep happening and happening and happening, oh boy, yeah, well, then maybe you might have to start worrying a little bit. Not because Wallstedt would stink, but because that could mess him up. Because, like, where the heck is the help here, guys? Marco Rossi, again, would get... Faber would have 3 assists in the game, and Boldy even 3 points in the game, a goal and 2 goals and 1 assist. Marco Rossi would finish. Faber almost was offsides, but he was onside by the skin of his skate, I guess. Yeah, by like about a millimeter or so of his skate, his blade of steel, so to speak. And Marco Rossi ended up scoring on a feed from Boldy. That felt awfully good. So yeah, Boldy had the puck. Faber was just about offsides, but thankfully it was ruled a goal. It could have gone either way. It was pretty close, but Faber was onside. Again, well, you get the point by a pixel on the monitor, and Rossi ends up scoring the game winner. So the Wild escape victorious versus the Columbus Blue Jackets, who again are one of the weaker teams in the NHL, much less the Eastern Conference, but in the entire NHL. Unfortunately, the Minnesota Wild have become one of the weaker teams in the NHL. We get back to 500, which in hockey is not good anymore. Back in the day, you could make the playoffs easily with a 500 record. Back in the late 80s, early 90s and such, the golden age of gaming, in my opinion. Even though it's actually the silver age, but it's kind of golden for me. Golden age is about... the golden age would be like the late 70s, early 80s in overall with the arcades. But we'll talk about video game flashback on occasion here and there. Maybe there'll be a question on that one. I intentionally leave myself cold turkey going into the, what do they call that? Where you don't have, you don't read it, some weeks I leave myself cold turkey so I don't, so I get surprised by questions. If it's a surprise question, that kind of adds to the fun of it rather than like faking it, but sometimes it's good to read ahead too, because some of the questions might be tougher. Anyhow, speaking of tough, the Wild would lose 11-2 to the Dallas Stars in the upcoming games. 11-2. Yeah, that's what I said. 4-0 rookie goalie, and then you bring in our rookie goalie. Not quite the same situation here. Dallas is playing well, the Wild are not. The Dallas had not been playing well. Obviously, their starting goalie, a certain guy named Jake Ottinger has not been available, and he hasn't even been that good this year. What's his goals against average? Almost 3? And then, this year, which is really weird, Ottinger, usually you think like 220 or something. Save percentage like 92, 93, like elite, one of the best goalies on the planet. And then obviously mediocre this year for his standards, to below average, honestly, for his standards. But he's not available one way or another. And the Stars had not been playing super well. But then they play the Minnesota Wild, and it's like, well, it's kind of like the Wild years ago when we were kind of, I guess what we are now. I'm going to bring up a small soundbite very shortly here from the, what do they call it, the fireside chat, where we're just kind of there. We're always kind of hanging around 500-ish. If we're not like in the playoffs, we're hanging around 500. And then when we make the playoffs, we're usually a lower seed, and we don't do anything. And even if we are a higher seed, we still find a way to lose in the first round. Fascinating history with the Calgary Flames. I'm going a little bit off here for a second because I'm going to bring in the soundbite, I guess, very soon here. The Calgary Flames advanced past the first round 3 times since 1989 when they won the Stanley Cup. Isn't that crazy? So that's insanely frustrating, and that's kind of how it feels around here. Like, how many times have the Wild advanced past the first round since we went on our conference final run? We didn't even win the Cup. We didn't even make it to the Cup. We've advanced twice, right? Twice. We beat Colorado again, many years later. What was it? 11 years later, we beat Colorado. It took 11 years. That's right, 11. And then we did it again the next year, and then ever since, no. And of course, we did get obliterated twice by the Blackhawks. Well, no, the second time was much worse. We got swept, and it was like 3-0 Blackhawks, like 5 seconds in the game. It was bleeping horrible. Whereas I guess after the Colorado series, that was a much closer series where the Wild actually had a chance. And then you had Stanchion Gate, the puck bouncing off the stanchion to Patrick Kane, of all people, which was, a death sentence, and the Wild lost. Damn it. Where the Wild could have gone to the 7th game. And at that point, the Wild were undefeated in Game 7. So who knows? We probably wouldn't have won that one, but you never know. That Hawks team was scary, and they won the Stanley Cup again. So thankfully, they haven't won since. Good riddance. The 11-2 demolition derby here. I don't know. What do you want to talk about? You want to talk about the effortless performance? You want to talk about the really nice first period that wound up with Rupe Hintz, if I ever say his name correctly, Mr. Wildkiller, along with Jason bleeping Robertson. I am sick of Jason Robertson. Every gosh darn Mickey frickin' time the Wild play the Dallas Stars, Jason Robertson scores. Oh, it's like, go away. I am so sick of Jason Robertson. Oh, what a body on the son of a gun, for crying out loud. Radek Faksa, not related to Derek Felska or anything. I know I just came up with a dumb take there. Sorry, dumb joke there, I guess. Jason Robertson again. Of course, Ruben Hintz. He scores the goal about 10 minutes into the first period, and the Wild were like, bleep this. And it was a short-handed goal, too. Yeah, it was a shorty. About midway through the first period, and it was just as if the Wild were like, bleep it. We can't win. We can't do it. It was like, I don't know. It was like a political race where you have no chance. That's kind of what it felt like. I don't know why I just said that. I have no idea. But, that's what it felt like, though. It was like they just kind of like stopped playing, it seemed like, after that great first 10 minutes or so. And then Hintz scores, and we took the hints and stopped playing, which was lame. And yes, Robertson scored on the power play. The Wild were 0 for 6. 0 for 6 on the power play and gave up 2 shorties. What do you think? Isn't that great?
It's fucking awful. 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 In every possible way.
Rocco Baldelli chiming in his thoughts on the game there. Yeah, I agree, Rocco. I agree. And congratulations on finally getting past the first round for the Twins last year for the first time in eons. Hopefully they, I don't know. Free agency with the Twins has been getting made fun of nationally now. Anyhow, sorry for digressing again, but what do you want to talk about? A 4-0 loss to the Stars? Is it fun to talk about? Well, I guess we have to, kind of. But yeah, that's kind of all you need to know. 0 for 6 on the power play. Rookie goalie and the 2 shorties given up. I mean, did someone say special teams? Yeah, that's why I voted for the special teams. Like, are the issue on the poll last week for the Crease and Assist podcast. Sorry, I keep saying it wrong and stuff. But that's why I voted for that one. It was like third place. That's the funny part. Third place out of 4. I voted for it for a reason because, and that's why Derek said, you can hear him saying, he's not wrong. And, well, no. And boy did we get that shoved down our throats this week. Connor Dewar, are you ready? Ready for some fun? Ready for some fun? You know, like one of the bajillion reasons why the Wild were a non-factor in this game. 11 faceoffs, 1 win and 10 losses. Marco Rossi, 7 faceoffs, 0 for 7. How can it be that bad? How can you be that bad? Our best guy, Frederick Goudreau, 8 and 8. I mean, nobody even had a winning record in their faceoffs. It's great, isn't it? Just wonderful. Freaking! Oh, excuse me, I am so disrespectful. Matt Zuccarello, 1 faceoff and he won it. All right. Sorry, I apologize. I'm on my knees now begging for forgiveness. I am so sorry. No, I'm really not. One win, 10 losses. I can't even put into words. You combine Connor Dewar and Marco, 1 and 17. Yeah, I think we lost the game. You think? I think we did. Duchesne 7-1. Faxa. I'm getting my facts straight. 12 wins and 5 losses. I don't know. I mean, what can you do? It's at a point all you can do is laugh, I guess. I mean, what else can we say? What can we do? I mean, we bleeping sucked and all that good stuff. We just did. And now we got Adam Raska on the lineup as well. It's wonderful. Adam Raska with his one what does he have? 1 goal in 20 games for Iowa. Oh, it's great. 1 goal and no like 1 point overall. Called up to Minnesota because he's so good, I guess. Yeah, and I haven't even gotten to the 7-2 game yet. Yeah, it gets worse. 7-2. But you know what? You know what's really crappy about this? This looks familiar. Didn't we lose 7-3 to these sons of guns earlier this year? And I remember like years ago in the what was his name, Darcy Kemper era, 7-1. You know, it's like and it was like Dallas, Darcy Kemper versus the Stars. Let's see what happens. 7-1. That was one of the Dubnyk year. Yeah, that was the year we traded for Devin Dubnyk because we were losing games like that. Oh boy, ladies and gentlemen, if this is a playoff team, I got a bridge to sell you, and I've got oceanfront property in Arizona. I do, and a tropical beach in Antarctica for you too. That's about it. Did Roop Hintz score? Yeah, he did for the 9 billionth time in a row versus us. Did Jason Robertson score? Yeah, he did for the 9 billionth time in a row versus the Wild. It's just like, you know, Patrick Kane with the Flames. Patrick Kane with them. With the Blackhawks. The other guy with the Flames, that Jerome Iginla. God almighty, every bleeping time. Oh, the Wild lost in overtime. Cursity curse. Who scored? Iginla. You know, that's basically what it was. Well, Boldy got a goal and an assist. Yeah, he did. He showed up, kind of, when he felt like it. Faber got an assist. He was on ice for a couple of goals, obviously, again. I mean, everybody was disappointing in this game. Even Faber, generally speaking, had a disappointing week, except against Columbus. Even Brock Faber wasn't good. But what do you expect? It's going to be infectious, don't you think? In situations like this, a 7-2 loss, nobody's going to look good in a 7-2 loss. Nobody. Jesper Wallstedt gave it everything he had. He faced a firing squad, and he got blown away. Scott Wedgwood, well, he faced 23 shots, and he gave up 2 goals. Oh, darn, I feel so bad for Scott Wedgwood. Dang it, I'm sorry, man. But yeah, Jesper Wallstedt, it's Jesper Wallstedt, or Wallstedt, but Wallstedt is the one I've been hearing, of course, from Russo, above all people. All 7 goals. When I saw that, I was like, oh, man. All 7 goals. All. Ouch. That's got to suck big time. But at the same, it's. But at the same time, you heard him after the game. Very steady. Very steady. Doesn't look like a guy who's defeated and like, oh my God, and overwhelmed or anything. So we'll see. It's a terrible matchup, terrible timing, and it's kind of, again, like what else is new? Like when I talked about Josh Harding last week having to go against a firing squad when Detroit was like, like what Dallas is now, like really an established, like veteran, like aging team, but really good players everywhere, and some young good players, which Dallas actually does have with Robertson, but some aging players that are really good. Pavelski, all those guys, Sagan, Ben, blah 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 blah, Suter or whatever his name is, Duchesne. Yeah, I don't need to get into all the names, but yeah, it's similar where he went up against a really tough veteran team, and in that case, Stanley Cup royalty and all that, would face like 42 shots, but only give up 2 goals because he was a little more experienced than Jesper Wallsteed at that stage. Harding had been in the AHL forever, basically, at that stage, because I mean they were really, really, they were really conservative about bringing players up back in those days at times, especially goalies. Plus, I mean, Harding wasn't exactly looked on as like this franchise-saving goalie, and we'd had the 2 veteran goalies for quite a while, and you had Manny and Dwayne Rollison, so guys like that. So at the end of the day, I gotta stop being distracted here. This was garbage. It was garbage. Everybody knows it, and it's time to embrace the suck, embrace the suckage, embrace the suck, whatever it is. Just they're not going to tank intentionally, but I don't know. It's almost like the players were tanking without trying, kind of type of thing. It was that bad without trying to tank, but almost looked like they were. So I think we do need to embrace the suckage. This whole talk about grasping for straws or whatever, like when my ideas in the past have gotten shot down by certain people in the past. You know what? We're grasping for straws, thinking this is a playoff team and signing these stupid veterans who aren't that good for long contracts that are we're overpaying veteran players that haven't done anything. Okay, I'm just going to keep saying that forever. If that isn't grasping for straws, I don't know what is. You think Marcus Foligno's going to find like I don't know, Todd Bertuzzi minus the evil like kill people attitude? Do you think he's gonna find his inner Todd Bertuzzi? Is Ryan Hartman gonna be that one guy we were comparing him to, including myself for a couple of seconds? But I mean, it was a comparison where a guy was a first round pick that ended up being better than ended up finally achieving some of that first round whatever hype or whatever. Gagne for the Minnesota North Stars, who come from the Rangers. So obviously, no, he's not Gagne. Gagne. God, he was a good player for the North Stars, wasn't he? Who were the other veterans we're signing? Is John Merrill going to be Jim Johnson? Ooh, what a great trade that was! Greatest trade of all time. No, that's the thing. I mean, I don't know, John Merrill. Why am I even getting to that name? But you could go on all day with some of these veterans that we've been signing that, and like Zuccarello, okay, fine. At least it's only 2 years. But again, it's that no-move crap. We're all sick of it. I mean, NMC. Marcus Foligno does not deserve a no-move clause. I don't care if you think he's the greatest alternate captain in the history of the world. Marcus Foligno has not earned a no-move clause. At age 32, and he's, he's an alternate captain. Oh, bow down. So what? He's good, yes. Well, no, he isn't. He can be good. He's a nice veteran and all that. Valuable guy in the locker room. Yeah, I mean, he's a good guy, but sometimes he flies up the handle like I've bitched and moaned about forever. So, again, stuff like that. I think that's more grasping for straws than anything else. At the end of the day, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why I get so irritated and all that by little things, but there's little big things as well. Again, signing veteran players that are either 30 or over 30 for 3 or 4 years to, like kind of more than you'd think they're worth. I don't know. Like, did Foligno earn a raise? That's the question. Did Marcus Foligno earn a raise? He had that one really good year about 2 years ago. But that was 2 years ago, though. Did he? And it was once. It was once, and he was 30 years old already when it finally happened. I don't know. And, of course, again, Frederick Gaudreau, freaking 5-year deal. 5 years for Frederick Gaudreau. I don't know, like that's what people are saying, that Bill Guerin may have train wrecked the team by doing stuff like that, and it kind of looks like it. So, I don't know. I mean, are we even going to be able to keep Brandon Duhaime? And do we even want to? I don't know. I mean, he's fine at a cheap price and everything, but it's going to be tough. It's going to be really tough. God, I know I'm pitching too much about the same stuff over and over again, but what are you going to do? What else are you going to say? I mean, we're here for a reason. So this is kind of proof heads just might roll in the not too distant future here if this continues. Might have to in the next 2 years or so when it comes to if this kind of nonsense continues. Yeah, because it's a dead end. It's quite simply a dead end. So I guess if we're gonna, but I mean, again, I guess if we're gonna suck, we might as well embrace the suckage instead of being stuck in mediocrity forever. Here is that fireside chat line here that I forgot to mention.
Been bad, and the Flames have never been that bad.
No, and that's part of the reason why the Flames are perpetually stuck in this zone of just being there in the middle at best. You know, like some years they might be a little bit higher, some they might be a little bit lower, but they're just there. Like the Minnesota Wild, like they exist. Woo. You know.
It's our turn to be bad, Matt.
Yeah, and that's fine.
Pretty much sums it all up. That sounds perfect. I mean, I remember as he said, the Minnesota Wild. I said the Minnesota Wild. It came out like a millisecond before he said it. I was like, yeah, like the Minnesota Wild. And then he said, I was like, oh my God. Yep. It's funny. And that's the Calgary Flames show that don't give a crap about us, frankly. So nice show, but I mean, yeah, they don't give a hoot about us. But he's just, again, that's the whole point. There's a reason why they wouldn't give a hoot about us, because I don't know, we're not scaring anybody really. So okay, I better start passing out awards. The Mike Modano Award winner for this episode is Marc-Andre Fleury, making some great saves. He did get that milestone win that tied him with Patrick Waugh. So it has to be Marc-Andre Fleury. It can't be a single skater this week. Even Brock Faber was not too good, except for, again, that 3-assist game versus Columbus. I was like, boy, he's on a head start for that award this week. He's going to get it for sure. And then it's like, no, he wasn't really good the rest of the week. But again, it was an infectious thing. It was like a disease. This whole week was like a disease, like a plague. Again, the Tampa and the 2 Stars games. And then, yeah, Fleury was really good, I thought. And then Valsteed, Jesper Valsteed, if I'm saying it correctly, was hung out to dry. Literally hung out to dry. It was pathetic. It was awful. It was horse bleep. So, yeah, that's all you got to say there. The James Shepard Memorial Popcorn Maker, it's kind of like everybody. It's kind of like everybody for no showing. The frustrations with Boldy, the up and down, he comes and goes kind of type of thing. Even Faber getting beat. But, I mean, Faber's definitely not one of the lead candidates for it. He's one of the farthest away. It's kind of pretty much everybody, though. Pretty much every skater, generally speaking. It was a lousy week. Bottom line. With that said, we'll take a quick break. We got 3 games to preview. And, of course, we'll get to an epic fan interaction. So I want to focus more on that than previewing games and such. I had to get my little, I don't even know if it was a rant, but kind of whatever you'd call this, first segment out of the way. And then I'll do very brief previews, and we're going to focus heavily on fan interaction. I think that's going to be a great segment this week. And we are back here on Brave the Wild, but we're going to open things up with our sponsor on the Hockey Podcast Network, DraftKings, right here and right now. We know hockey games move fast, but with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL, you can score faster than anything happening on the ice. Unlike the Wild, right? This week, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 instantly in bonus bets. So we're going to go over a couple of the lines today. I'm not going to go over every game. That might be kind of interesting. Boston Bruins, Vegas Golden Knights. That's a pretty notable one. Vegas Golden Knights, we're going to go with the puck line again. Minus 218. The Boston Bruins are plus 180. Arizona and Calgary, that's a fun one. I'd like to see that game. Minus 245. and for Arizona plus 200 for Calgary. Let's see a couple other notables that might be fun. Vancouver and Pittsburgh, that's a fun one. Pittsburgh plus 180, Vancouver minus 218. On the road, pretty good. New York Islanders plus 225, hosting the Toronto Maple Leafs plus 185. So obviously, yep. I mean, obviously you can bet all over the place. So that's just kind of a sample of what you could be looking at for tonight, per se, Thursday, January the 11th. So do check those out for sure. Back where we need to be, though, my apologies. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app with code THPN. New customers bet just $5 on the NHL and get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Isn't that great? Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code THPN for the Hockey Podcast Network, of course. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for gambling, for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 plus age varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See dkng.com/hockey for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms and responsible gambling resources. NHL and the NHL Shield are registered trademarks of the National Hockey League. Copyright NHL 2024 now. Yep, all rights reserved. So yes, I'm gonna stop saying that phrase. I don't want to hear that H and Y anymore. I'm sick of hearing those three words. I just Happy New York there. Yeah, I don't want to say. I'm sick of it. Move on. It's time to say happy anything else. Okay, I better get moving. Happy Philadelphia Flyers game on Friday, January the 12th. Pardon me. Philadelphia Flyers. Who is this guy? John Tortorella. Oh boy, is he going to curse us out? Carter Hart's definitely had a nice rebound of a year, and Samuel Erston, also 2.46 goals against average. Carter Hart 2.69. Carter Hart 9.11 save percentage. Samuel Erston 90.3. 2 shutouts for Erston, 1 for Carter Hart. Travis Konecny is leading the Philadelphia Flyers in scoring. Hey, Flyboy. 21 goals, 16 assists. Good for him. Sean Cotia, the former San Jose Shock, 10 goals, 18 assists. Owen Tippett, very familiar name there with the Vancouver Canucks, if you know what I'm saying. 14 goals for him, 10 assists. Good for him. 2 power play goals in the year. The special teams, we're going to get to that in a couple of segundos here, if humanly possible. Noah Cates, injured reserve as of November 28th. Ryan Ellis, injured reserve as of October 11th. Jared Spurgeon, back in his back where he's been half of the season. Unfortunately, I got to cut it out here. Injured reserve. I'm not trying to be too rude. Vinny Lettieri might have a broken bone in his foot off of a puck going off his skate on New Year's Eve. I don't want to say it anymore. Philip Gustafson also again on December the 30th. Yeah, injured reserve. Goals for the Flyers are 23rd, Wild are 25th. Goals against, Flyers pretty good there. 8th, Wild 22nd. Defense like ours, what do you expect, huh? Great goals against numbers? No. Power play? Yeah, see, that's what I thought, but I saw only like 2 or 3 power play goals by the top guys. That's pathetic. 31st, even worse than ours, but ours gives up shorties too. 0 for 6 versus the Stars. It's pathetic. Their penalty kill second in the league, kind of like the North Stars back in the day. 86.3, and the Jacques Lemaire days at the Wild, who are 28th in the league. Philadelphia kicked our butts way back on October 26th. One of Dean Evanson's final games there in that 5-10 record, 6-2. Do I expect more in this one? I expect more from Philadelphia, unfortunately, but I don't know what to pick with this Wild team anymore. We are just awful right now, but it's fine, I guess. It's not fun to watch, but I guess if we can get a good draft pick and wait and wait and wait. That's the crappy part. That's the one thing. It's not like the NBA, but even rookies in the NBA usually don't do a whole lot, except maybe the top 2 or 3. But I guess it's the same thing in hockey, huh? Yeah. Football, you have to be ready right away, pretty much. I don't know, but yeah, me and Derek talked about that off the mic. Obviously, hockey players are 18, so it's a little different. For the most part, they're 18 anyway. Some certain college players are a little older. But, yeah. Philadelphia 2-3 in their last 5. Most recently beating Montreal in a shootout. And Columbus in a shootout. How exciting. Otherwise losing 5-1 and 4-1 to the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Edmonton Oilers, who've been red hot. Actually, they lost to Columbus in the shootout and beat Calgary 3-1. Wilder won out of our last 4. Philadelphia is not that great, but they're competitive. I mean, they'd be in the playoffs today. 21-14-6, third in the Metropolitan Division. That's not that great of a record, but it's good enough to be third in the division. So, go Flyers, I guess. Go Fly Boys. Flyers win the game, I guess. I mean, what else can I say? I don't know. It's not going to be a high-scoring game this time. I don't think Flyers get 6 goals. Will Volstead be thrown back in? I doubt it. No, they're not going to do that. Marc-Andre Fleury returns, but the Wild lose 3-2 to the Flyers. Most likely guy to score in the game, Matt Boldy. And I do think I picked Matt Boldy to get multiple goals versus Columbus. I think I did. I don't know, but I think I did. Arizona Coyotes. Oh, goody. A homecoming for certain players, except for Zucker, who's suspended, which is funny. I don't know. I'm not a huge Zucker guy. I know a lot of people are like defending him and stuff. Yeah, but I know the guy he hit is a much bigger problem than Zucker. I understand. But yep, he's suspended at the moment. Travis Boyd, multiple weeks with upper body injury way back in early December. Vladislav I don't know. I can't do it. Vladislav K. week to week with lower body injury. So no IR or anything? That was way back around Thanksgiving. And I already talked about the Wild injuries. We're sick of hearing about it. Arizona's tied with Philadelphia, 23rd in goals, 13th in goals against. Interesting. 10th in the power play, 18th in the penalty kill. We have not played them once this year, so this is the first time ever the Minnesota Wild will skate against Matt Dumba. My computer's almost freezing here. Hopefully nothing got choppy with the audio, because Connor Ingram in an outstanding season, at least, well, sometimes. 4 shutouts on the year. That's awesome. Save percentage 91.5. Goals against average only 262. That's not even that good, but I don't know. He's kind of hot and cold, I guess, when it comes to that. He'll have those big, he'll have 4 shutouts, but then some mediocre performances. Clayton Keller, who's been, he's kind of been the main guy the past number of years now. He was a first-round pick years and years ago. Some years he's better than others. He's kind of like that. He's good, but he's not a star. 34 points for him on the season, 14 goals, 20 assists. Lawson Cruz, if I'm saying it correctly, with 16 goals but only 9 assists. Kind of Zucker-like in that sense. Speaking of Jason Zucker, 29 games, 12 points, 6 goals, 6 assists. Mediocre. Right there with Jack McBain, who's only played 24 games this year. 6 goals, 4 assists. I got to get out of here, Jack McBain. Matt Dumba with his 5th point semi-recently, 38 games and 5 points. So I think we've made our point. I think I've made my point. Obviously, the offensive game is long gone, and that's kind of obvious. Definitely not the guy that he was, and I wouldn't give him $6 million if, gun to my head. I'd be like, I don't know. Maybe I wouldn't say pull the trigger, but I'd be thinking about it. Nick Bukestad. 6 goals, 16 assists, 22 points for Nick Bukestad, former Minnesota Wild player. Of course, so there's Minnesota ties everywhere. And then Schmaltz Alts. Remember him with the Chicago Blackhawks? Nick Schmaltz. 13 goals, 13 assists. He's been there for a few years already. But kind of cool to see Nick Bukestad jumping up a bit again this year, or jumping up this year. You see him floating around in fantasy at least a few weeks ago when he was like, he's definitely cooled off a bit. But he was floating around as a fantasy free agent, like a guy you might want to sign. Nick Bukestad. That's like unthinkable with the Minnesota Wild and pretty much other teams. He was a number 1 pick, though. First round pick, anyway, years ago. But didn't expect as much. I think the Wild you're going to see Wallstead in this one, at least I'm guessing, against Arizona. And I think the Wild win the game. I think Wallstead gets his first win, and then he can start chasing Marc-Andre Fleury and Ken Dryden and all those guys. He can get started. get his first win, and then it begins. I know, I'm just kidding. We'll cross that bridge 15 years from now, if and when we get there. If and when, hopefully Wallsteed ends up being the best goalie in Wild history, which he's got some competition before he gets there, believe me. Not that things ended well for most of them, like Backstrom and Dubnik and such, but it's some decent company. But the Wild will win this hockey game. And I think the Wild solve Ingram, believe it or not. 4-2 victory. Marco Rossi will score, and the Wild win 4-2 over the Arizona Coyotes. Not expecting any blowout or anything, obviously, no. What's our final game? I know it's just 3 games. We're going to play against the New York Islanders, that's right. It's another funky one. Why am I feeling so positive? You'd think the Wild would get swept in these couple games. What is happening? Yeah, Yahoo's going to Yahoo again. God, they suck. They're kind of like our power play. Yeah, they kind of are. Yahoo's like our power play. Look at that. It just sits there. What a freaking pile of frickin' frick. So we'll give it a shot here. There. Okay, I don't know what I did wrong. But anyhow, the Islanders, yes, there's always people injured. Varlamov has yet to resume skating, according to the coach. He's been out since Christmas Eve. Robert Bortuzzo, I like that name, rolls right off your tongue. Jan the Third, injured reserve. Yep. Casey Cizikas, lower body injury. Jan 9th versus Vancouver, so on and so forth. So that's very recent, so we'll see what happens there if he's going to play. Lower body injury, so probably not, but we'll see. 19th in goals is the New York Islanders, of course. 22 in goals against, which definitely is a drop-off from where they were. This team used to be incredible about goals against, but yeah, it's different now. Power play 9th, that's pretty good. Penalty kill 29th. And they are 5th in the league about not getting penalty minutes, so good for them. The Minnesota Wild have 155 more penalty minutes than the New York Islanders. Wow, that's awful. It's awful. The New York Islanders have won only 1 game this past week, getting crushed by Vancouver, Vegas, Colorado. Well, not crushed by Colorado, but beaten Pittsburgh. And a 5-1 win versus Arizona, who I do think the Wild beat. The Wild actually have an outside chance of going... we actually have a chance of going 2-1 this week. Honestly, like the Wild can absolutely beat Arizona, and I think we can beat the New York Islanders. We actually have beaten the Islanders this year, even though they have a winning record, 18-12-10. Arizona's not been good. Islanders haven't been good of late. I think the Wild win this game, believe it or not. This is in the X. Sorokin, who was looked on as the better of the 2 goalies in New York, as the New York Rangers also have a pretty good goaltender. Sorokin, yeah, not a good season, but just the play in front of him hasn't been good either. 3.2 goals against average. Yeah, what the heck? Save percentage is 90.8. So again, it's the play in front of him, I think. He's stopping the puck, but there's just, too much going on. 2 shutouts and Varlamov, who's out with 2 shutouts. It's a decent goalie tandem, but it's been a weird year. Barzal, of course, leading the club in scoring with 30 assists, 11 goals, 41 total points in 39 games. It's a good season. Bo Horvat on pace. He's a point-a-game guy as well. 16 goals, 23 assists, 19 goals for for Minnesotan anyway. Brock Nelson and former Vancouver Canuck again. 19 goals to lead the whole club. 16 assists, 35 points. So the offense in New York is definitely there. Mike Riley, former Minnesota Wild and Minnesota Gopher runner-up, unfortunately, on the other team that lost. Yeah, it sucks. Cal Clutterbuck, former Wild, yep. It's been like eons and eons now. That was a Nino Niederreiter trade a long time ago. Sounds like ancient history. 4 goals to 8 assists for him. At least he's not hurt. Riley has been in 20 games for the Isles with 8 points. Okay. And the other, Sebastian Aho, with 5 points in 31 games. Nothing to write home about with that one. Now, Anders Lee, that's another Minnesota tie. 11 goals, 6 assists. There's just Minnesotans all over the Islanders, and it's been that way for many years. Either former players for the Wild or former Gophers or, obviously, and then ties to the state of Minnesota. It's been that way for eons and eons and eons. Buffalo's one of those teams as well. Not that you're here to hear about that, but what the hell. I'll say it anyway, dang it. The Wild are going to beat the Islanders. Wild beat the Islanders. I think the Wild... I don't know. I'm probably being overly optimistic. We're probably more likely going to go 1-2. But no, why not? I mean, we win some games and maybe somebody comes back healthy. It's not impossible to win a game. It's just not. It can happen. I do think this team is not a playoff team, and I don't think we need to trade away draft picks and stuff to try to make the playoffs. That'd be the dumbest thing ever, because it's not going to help unless you get a higher draft pick by making the playoffs versus missing. I don't think trading away picks is wise at this stage, because this team's not advancing past the first round. What's the point of going crazy? We're just not, unless we're the 91 North Stars all over again, but I don't think so. That would be quite a surprise, quite a story. I suppose the 81 North Stars was, most of the players on that team were insanely young, including the goaltender, who was like 18 years old, Don Beaupré. So, pretty wild stuff. Don Beaupré. Yes. The Wild win 4-3 versus the Islanders. This one goes to OT or shootout, but the Wild are victorious. Mats Zuccarello will score against the other New York team, the New York Islanders, and the Wild are victorious versus the Isles, and we sweep them this year, which is pretty crazy and stuff, but the Wild get the job done. Prospects very quickly. I better keep moving. I apologize. I got a nice, juicy fan interaction coming. I don't want to babble all the way through all that. I apologize. Obviously, you had the USA team win the gold. That was awesome. Had a feeling that was going to happen. That was part of the questions last week. Who wins the gold and the silver and such. So, yep, USA just looked so good. You know, it definitely wasn't a homer pick. They were just so on fire. You could kind of feel they were going to win the gold, and they did, especially with Canada out of the way. Open things up with our friend in Russia there, Marat Huznadinov, will hopefully be skating for Minnesota as soon as next season. Or at least I think I clicked on it. Yeah, but Huznadinov again. Yeah, you know how he'd been buried earlier in the year. That didn't help his momentum. 12 total points for Suckage, 5 goals, 7 assists in 31 games. For him, he's on pace for 17 points in 55 games. But again, the minutes have not been there for Marat Huznadinov. So that's definitely a problem, no doubt about it. Petrovsky, obviously, again, what an amazing World Junior Classic. Obviously did not get the gold medal or anything. I'm not sure what's going on, so I apologize. So, apologize here, it's just funky. Yep, this is, again, thanks to, and we'll say thanks to Elite Prospects and all that. He had 9 points, 5 goals, 4 assists in 5 games, but unfortunately lost, of course. He is slightly above a point a game for the Owen Sound attack, 30 points in 29 games, 10 goals, 20 assists. So, but a great World Junior Classic for our friend Petrovsky. Was a 6th-round pick coming out of Slovakia. Liam Ugrin, the captain of the Swedish team, and the United States beat Sweden in the championship game. So the gold medal champions of Sweden gets the silver. Congratulations on the silver medal to Liam Ugrin. Ogren. 2 assists for Ogren in the World Junior Classic in 7 games. And so far for the Swedish Hockey League, still just 5 games, 2 goals. So he's got 2 points in both situations, again, coming back from a shoulder injury not too long ago. Honestly, that's why only 5 games, but at least healthy and getting started. Danila Yurov of Russia from the KHL. No World Junior Classic, which sucks, but it is what it is, right? 44 games, 13 goals, and 20 assists, 33 total points. Yep, outstanding. He's on pace for 46 points in 62 games for Metallurg in the KHL in Russia. Again, those are pretty good numbers for KHL hockey at the end of the day. Outstanding, I'd have to say, about that. So, we're going to jump off of one thing and move to another very quickly. Iowa Wild. Yep, I wanted to get into the foreigners first. You know, obviously the overseas guys. Sammy Walker, 6 goals, 14 assists for Iowa. We'll have to wait and see what's going to happen with him. He might be the quad A guy. Fortunately, whoa, that just came up on me. 14 points for Adam Beckman. Still, you know, just, I don't know. He reeks of a quad A kind of guy too right now. O'Rourke and Lambos. 8 points for Lambos, 7 for O'Rourke. Just one more goal for Lambos, basically, in that situation. Spacek with 3 points in 22 games. Still developing, again, only 20 years of age. at the pro level, the minimum age to play in the AHL, and he's doing pretty good, I'd have to say. Lambos as well. So two guys that have a future in the NHL. I think I would like to believe anyway in the Wild. Unfortunately, it's a ways away for them. That's the crappy part. We're just going to have to wait and be patient. They're only 20 years old, but Lambos is probably the closest out of that defense core to squeezing into the NHL. Maybe getting like a game or two here and there because of this or that. But right now, that guy has been Damon Hunt. But Damon Hunt should probably be playing for the Minnesota Wild regularly. But we're just, we're stuck with a stupid, Merrill Goligoski situation. Goligoski's off the books. Merrill's still on the books next year. So that's the annoying part. Merrill is still on the books. That's why I put him in the poll this next week. You'll hear about that very shortly, as I'm going to try to move quickly here. But yeah, I feel Damon Hunt should be a regular with the Minnesota Wild. He's been fine out there. It's not like he's a disaster at all. He's not in over his head or anything crazy like that. Riley Heidt did not get to be in the World Junior Classic. Wasn't too happy about it, but it's Canada, and then Canada also, well, I guess they didn't get to anything, so na boo-boo there. 71 points for Riley Heidt. He just continues to be incredible. 22 goals and 49 assists. That's 71 points in the World Hockey, Western Hockey League. World Junior? What am I talking about? Kalen Parker had a huge week this past week. I'm kind of bouncing everywhere. I'll come back to him shortly. Harvard Healy with 10 points now past last year's season totals in only 13 games versus 34 last year. So good for Ryan Healy moving forward. Jack Pert still only 6 points in 18 games now for the St. Cloud State Huskies. Kyle Masters and Bankier in Iowa. Obviously, again, just getting going, but Bankier has been very impressive. Masters, it's early. Let's just leave it at that when it comes to Masters. But he's been fine. Milne's out for the season. Regular Lorenz with the Denver Pioneers. Now 15 points. Good for you in 20 games for the left winger for the Denver Pioneers in his sophomore year. 7 goals, 8 assists in 15 games. Not too bad. In 20 games, sorry. Not too bad. Hunter Haight, the other. Yep, not Haight, but Haight. He's been stepping up. Yep. For the most part. Now 37 games in the Ontario Hockey League Saginaw Spirit. 17 goals, 29 assists. 446 total points, almost at last year's total in 42 games. Let's see if he can get past that pace and continue to become a better and better player. Jimmy Clark of the Gophers, now 9 points, fortunately, kind of starting to get some points again. 4 goals, 5 assists in 20 games. So about half a point a game for the Gophers, for the freshman there. Kalen Parker, who again has been had a wonderful week here with the, had a wonderful week anyway with a bunch of assists. Now, 21 assists on the year, 4 total goals, 25 points. And he's a defenseman for the Moose Jaw Warriors. He's definitely been good there after being traded from the Victoria Royals at the beginning of the season. 2 games and nothing there. But a right-shot defenseman, Kalen Parker, who I believe kind of recently turned 19. It's been a little bit. Pionk also, again, continuing at age 20. Now, 11 points, 10 assists on the season. In 19 games for Duluth, but 20 years of age. Again, later start. Kumpalainen, 27 points, 27 games. Yep, that's the same. And Stramel, first round pick, who was, not up to a great start. Not up to a great start. No, he is at a faster pace than last year, but that's not saying much. When he only had 12 points in 33 games, he has had 6 points in 16 games. In fact, he's basically at the same. 32 and 12. That was, so what am I talking about? It's actually right about the same. And then another interesting brief take here. The guy taking 2 picks behind him, Gabriel Perreault, that's been brought up with the Rangers. Yep, $1 billion Rangers. Boston College, 18 years old, right? A left-shooting right winger. Interesting. He's the Riley Height, I guess, of that draft. He's the Riley Height of the draft for the Rangers, looks like. But maybe beyond that, at the college level versus the juniors. 25 points in 17 games, 20 assists. He's been outstanding. And, we're probably going to rue that pick. Stremel versus Perreault. Crazy. Absolutely nuts. Wow, Zachary Benson already in the NHL with Buffalo, but that was the 13th pick. He was the 4th guy to be in the NHL already. for the other. The top three, of course, made it, but Bedard's out forever. So we might even have the Calder Trophy winner in Minnesota with Brock Faber. That'd be one major positive going into this. That'd be one major positive for this year at the very least. With that, let's take a quick break at the fan interaction right away. And we are back here on Brave the Wild. Let's jump into fan interaction ASAP at Brave the Wild, at Brave the Wild. Okay, I'm going to refresh this quick because I left it open. Just want to make sure everything's in order. Oh, looks like there's nothing new. Okay, so we'll go back where we wanted to be. At least I hope so. So on and so forth. Yep. Yep, so I'll open up with the poll. Derek Felska, which PWHL rule, Professional Women's Hockey League rule, should the NHL consider adopting themselves? No trapezoid, 3 points, regulation win, 2 points, OT/shootout, win, and then, yeah, that's actually what it is. I don't think there is a 1, but maybe there is for the loss. I don't remember. Maybe it's nothing. And you probably shouldn't get a point for a loss. But yeah, that's an interesting way of going about it. Anyhow, no player leaves box on a short-handed goal, and then no rule changes, please. That got dead last at 4.5. Third place was no trapezoid at 11.4. Second place, player leaves box on a short-handed goal, 15.9%, and then a dominant 68.2 landslide for the 3 points regulation win. Very cool. And then I created a poll. Both of these polls. Yeah, this is probably one of them. This poll has to be about as popular polls I've ever done in terms of votes and such. I was surprised, and I still got 2 days left, so we might have a different winner here. But because this is on a lot of people's minds, and I need to do this more often. It's fun. Yep, it's fun. I remember Derek was like, "That's a good idea," and then we both kind of have keep doing it. I think I started doing that like 2 years ago, and then I kind of was like Matt Boldy. I do it some weeks and not every week, which is a shame. I should do it every week. Where Derek has been very consistent on the Crease Assist podcast. Here's mine. If you could remove a Minnesota Wild player, I didn't put that word, but you get the idea, and their contract, who would you choose? Comment your feelings if you like. Hashtag BTWman. The term of the contracts are after this season, so it's like 3 years after this year, blah, blah, blah. Jared Spurgeon, 3 years, 7.575 million per year, 3 years remaining. John Merrill, 1 year, 1.2. So yes, he's on contract for next year, y'all. Okay, I'm just kidding. That's the reason why I put him. I don't know why I said y'all. I hate that. Marcus Foligno, 4 years, 4.0. Oof. Ugh. 4 years, 4.0. Ryan Hartman, 3 years, 4.0. Okay, well, Jared Spurgeon is the leader at 33.7. Second place, Marcus Foligno, 31.9. John Merrill, 26.4. And Ryan Hartman, 8%. So people are kind of satisfied with him, but not really, if you know what I mean. Lots of responses on this one. We'll get to that right away before we get to the rest of the fan interaction. Derek Felski, and I kind of agree with this one. If this was up, I would put Spurgeon, too. He says, I voted for Spurgeon. His inability to stay healthy, as you have pointed out multiple times in your podcast, kind of negate any contributions you may have, considering that contract takes him until he's 38 years old. It looks like an albatross, and that is exactly the term I would use. You, hit the boom right on the bullseye. That was a good one. Yep. Yeah, I would vote for Spurgeon, too. I wish we could. In a perfect world, you just amnesty or whatever it is. You could do it maybe once a year or something, one single player, or once every 2 years even. I think they put that in the NBA a while ago. I don't know if it still exists. God, I wish you could do that. But anyhow, Nick says Merrill by far. Everyone else is worth their contract, arguably. If Spurgeon could stay healthy, he would be worth the contract. But he hasn't been that good. But yeah, that's the thing. Then the other thing is he can't stay healthy, and I don't think he's going to. But, there's nothing wrong with the take, obviously, and Merrill would be nice to get rid of him, yes. You don't want to have him next year either. It's not as much as an albatross as Spurgeon. Imagine him having Spurgeon off the books, And I know where the problem also is, it's who's going to replace him. I understand that, but then again, we're already having to replace him anyway. Stephen Miller, Felino. Yep. Rick Zuccarello. Yep. So that's okay. That's okay to put that in there because, it's okay. I mean, at least he's been contributing. That's why I didn't put him there. But I figured anybody has to say something, anybody's free to say anything there. Jesper Wallstedt, SZN says, I want the whole bottom three gone. Yeah. So Merrill, Felino, and Ryan Hartman. Matt says, that's actually tough for me because I wouldn't mind the bottom three gone. Hartsey is a damn good utility player in my eyes, but I don't like that he's at 4 years or 3 years at $4 million. Yep. Moose, I soured on his game over time. Me too. And especially with the extension. Me too. Hate the contract. Merrill, no explanation necessary. Yeah, because she's a non. She just shouldn't be here anymore. Firearm says, Spurgeon, if you want to really shake up the roster, which it may need before the Wild become true cup contenders, start by sending him off. I like that. Yep, and I like that a lot. Wounded Loon, that's a cool name. All of them. Yep. I wish too. I'm going to follow you back here, or give you a follow. Yep, and I'm following some of them, but not everyone. I just want to check and make sure. Okay. So so Wounded Loon's a new one. Yep, give you a follow. Why not, right? Follow me back if you could. So, there you go. That's an interesting group there. That's the votes at the moment. I can't believe I've never seen. Yeah, this one went pretty viral, and I really appreciate the reaction. I do. So here we go. Nope, we're not ready for the lightning round just yet. Oh yes, we are. I was saying, is it finally time to embrace the suckage for the Wild, tag it, and so on and so forth? Here comes the Derek lightning round. Derek Felska lightning round hath returned. And let's get started. Are the Minnesota Wild their own worst enemy? We made a tough choice with the buyouts, then burned the money by locking in old bones with no move clauses. Yep. Isn't this like the movie War Games, where the only winning move is to not make any move at all? I think so. I think so, yeah. I mean, what the hell were we thinking? What were we thinking with this? You get rid of these contracts and then just sign some more albatrosses. Yeah, that's why this summer I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And it's like, I know who's going to replace him. Well, it's possible that there's, just give it give other players a shot. There's got to be a way. Especially when certain guys haven't done anything. And I mean lots of certain guys, quote unquote, haven't done a damn thing. So, yeah, insanely frustrating. That is, yeah, I mean, Derek's been hitting a lot of bullseyes. Yep. That's why you should check out the Crease and Assist podcast. Pew, right down the middle. Yep, that's exactly. I mean, it's true though. Next, no doubt the shootout era helped Marc-Andre Fleury approach and likely get past Patrick Waugh for second all-time in victories. Are there any other notable records where current rules help players achieve those benchmarks? Which records will be broken? Well, I don't know. I mean, one thing where it's not players related, but teams get more points than they used to. I think I was commenting about this on X, Twitter, whatever the heck you call it, this past week or so, where like 100 points used to be a really big deal, where now it's like you could be the 6th or 7th seed and have 100 points. So like points are higher because of the whole shootout thing, no doubt. And I definitely don't miss the whole ties. That's boring as hell. God, I hated ties. I remember the Wild with a mediocre Wild team after the playoff run, tie after tie after tie, 2-2, 1-1. It was so boring. Just get the point out of it. It's like, it's boring. It's a tough one. That really is tough. Are there any other notable records where current rules help players achieve those benchmarks? That's really tough. That's really tough to say. But I mean, I do think it's like the goalies and the wins. Yes, I think that some of those records can be broken. if Fleury was able to play a little longer, you never know. But he could get into first, but probably not. It might be like that. That might be a record that gets broken. The goalie wins, but as to who's going to do it, it's kind of tough to say. It might be like somebody on the Rangers, maybe. Maybe the Rangers goalie, because they're going to win a lot of games for a long time, especially with the they've been winning games. They've been drafting really well. It's a pretty well-run organization. They're not just about the money like before, just signing expensive players like before. So that's kind of one I can think about. Otherwise, that's a tough one at the moment. That's a tough one at the moment. That might be one I might get back to at some point on another show, but I think it's mostly favoring goalies winning. I guess, as lame as that sounds, it's like a low-hanging fruit type of answer. So I apologize on that one. That's a toughie. It has been reported that Marat Khuznadinov is likely going to be coming to North America by Russian sports sources. Do you think Khuznadinov gets sent to a season in Iowa, or will he get the Kaprizov treatment in place with the Wild right away? I'm leaning towards the Wild right away. But then again, with these stupid free agent signings, maybe not. But it's like if he was a defenseman, you'd think Wild right away, right? Then you could finally make a move on like a John Merrill and such. I think he does come to the Wild right away. I wouldn't be surprised if Brendan Durham is gone, and that's kind of like the spot potentially, or even a Philip Goudreau trade. I mean, did I say Philip? Frederick Goudreau traded? I said Philip Goudreau. That's terrible. But Frederick Goudreau trade. That's what I'm leaning towards, possibly. Maybe wherever Dean Evison is coaching, if he has a new team next year, like Buffalo or Ottawa or something. Hey, here's Goudreau, and then he gives us a first-round pick, right? No, I don't know. Anything at this point, like cash considerations, at least you get him off the books and such. He's a fairly talented player, but he's limited. He can only do so much. Khuznadinov, I think there's a bit more there. He's a great skater, isn't he? Great skater, great defender. Bottom six, definitely. But I think they find a way to get Khuznadinov on Minnesota. That's my belief. Next, the Philadelphia Flyers were forced to cut bait because he wouldn't sign with prospect Cutter Gauthier, and had to settle for an underwhelming deal of Jamie Drysdale and a second-round pick from the Ducks. Oh, Drysdale. Okay, yep. Will we see more players pulling a Lindros like this? Probably. Probably. I wouldn't be too surprised. Hopefully not one of ours, but I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not sure who at the moment, but it's like there's always a chance. I mean, it's not good. Obviously, heck, even what's his name? We ended up doing that. Jamie Benn, but obviously definitely not as important as Gauthier. So at the end of the day, definitely not as important, but I mean, I think it'll keep happening. Yeah, I think players want to kind of have their own way and such at times, and I think there's a lot of pride in this world, and it wouldn't surprise me one bit if it was more of a trend than a mirage at the end of the day. Derek Felska again. Yep, the many great video games have great villains. The Dallas Stars really seem to have become the Wild's biggest villain. Yep, like the Blackhawks used to be. Yeah, they're the Blackhawks of today. What video game boss would you compare them to in regards to whatever hero seems ill-equipped to defeat them, as we are of Dallas? Ooh. Gutsman. No, I'm just kidding. That's fun. I like that. Because I can't say Bowser. You're usually fine. If you're Mario, you usually find a way to beat Bowser. It's more kind of on you, the player, with that one. But there's certain bosses where it's like, oh my God, you're just not ready to go. I can imagine Ganon, like say in Link to the Past, if you're not ready to go. They're kind of like that. Like Ganon in Link to the Past is really tough. I mean, he's really tough. I've gotten good at it, but it's been many years, and I'm well equipped. I get the first time I fought Ganon, I didn't have the golden sword because I didn't know about that. I didn't know you just throw it in the fountain of like the fountain in the pyramid there, and then you throw your level 3 sword in there, the tempered sword, and then you get the gold sword in return, which is a huge game changer. You got a stronger weapon. You kill Ganon faster. He's going to do less damage to you, and plus other ways. But yeah, if you're ill-equipped, it could be like the Wild or like Link with still the blue armor, and the level 3 sword, the tempered sword versus Ganon. That's kind of what I'm leaning towards. Otherwise, gosh, like the Mega Man games have such tough bosses. Even frickin' Gradius, like the spider, the giant spider, like robot type character. Yeah, it's like like an alien spaceship type of thing. It's so frickin' hard in Gradius 3 or Gradius 3, whatever it is. That's probably more like what the stars are. That spider, it's so tough. Like you have to do everything perfect. Otherwise, you're probably not going to make it. That's kind of what the stars have become for the Wild. So I might lean towards something like that. There might be a more interesting boss out there, like I don't know. There's some tough ones, like the rock monster in Mega Man 1. Holy mother bleep! That's probably it. It's like a big bully. It's real tough, like the rock monster in Mega Man 1. That's probably an even better choice than the spider. That might have been like the Blackhawks, the spider. Or the stars, yeah, I'd say it's the rock monster in Mega Man 1. In Mega Man 3, he's significantly easier. Like, you pretty much have to cheat to beat the rock monster. If you listen to the video game flashback review, you use the elect man to get him in the eye when his eye opens, and then you press select over and over again, and it'll keep electrocuting the rock monster. It doesn't completely wipe out his energy because you have to, eventually the electric bolt will go away, and then you have to do it again. And obviously he comes apart and comes flying at you to the other side of the screen. So that's what I would compare the Dallas Stars to, was the rock monster in Mega Man 3. That was a fun question. I like those. Yep, at least once a week. Those are so much fun. And then we could talk retro games a little bit. Steve Snyder. Let's see. Yep. So Steve Snyder. Oh my, it's a busy week, but it's good though. That's why I was like, I better shut up about previews and such. Steve Snyder. How important is the success? So it's like a temporary interruption of the lightning round. So it's like we'll just do it in order, which is fine. Steve Snyder, great to hear from you. How important is the success of the Iowa Wild to the big club? I understand Iowa's about development, but I'd like to think they have to win as well. It would be interesting to see how well the successful NHL team, farm teams do, and if there is any connection to that model. Well, I remember Colorado, what are they called? Their team was like the Eagles, I believe, right? The Avalanche, and I remember they were super high end when Colorado was good. And it's like, obviously they're not always going to be good at the same time, because maybe some of those great prospects, they all come up, and then, the AHL team has to reload with some other good prospects. A lot of it, again, it's a sign that your management is doing a good job in terms of, it seems like we're too desperate to try to survive in the AHL by just kind of signing like 30-year-old veteran kind of guys that are career AHLers that aren't really going to help the Minnesota Wild at all much. Like they'll come up, maybe they're like emergency replacements for a few games during injuries, like the Lucinis and such. Whereas, you want to believe that it's like a really good farm system that's been building up. So, yes, I mean, success in the AHL, I think is a good thing. It's, helps teach players to win. And they come up with more of a winning attitude, more of a winning culture already coming to Minnesota after having a successful year or two in Iowa or whatever your AHL team is. So I think it's important, yeah. I think it's important, especially for the goaltenders. If the goalie's just getting, blown away every night, they're going to die. They're just going to struggle. They're going to have a hell of a time getting anywhere in the NHL if they're going through all that hell, like in the AHL. Like, I think Hunter Jones has been kind of hung out to dry a bit in the ECHL, but at the same time, again, I think his confidence is completely shattered now as well, which is really sad. So, yeah, I do think it's important. Absolutely. A good question there for sure. The lightning round continues with Derek. He says, what do you think it will take for the Minnesota Wild to destroy their phobia of bleeping the bed against Dallas? Is it therapy? Is it the Glenn Saumur versus Boston approach? Who or what do you think is the biggest key to break that psychological hurdle? I'm almost leaning towards Glenn Saumur at this point. It just might come to that, where we just went bleeping insane, and then all of a sudden we started beating them. We went literally like nuts. That it might take something crazy like that. It just might. Like I am sick and tired of seeing Robertson and Rubehin scoring against the Wild. It is just, ugh. It just eats at you. It's so irritating. It's like watching some annoying little, some annoying punk at work like get promoted when you know they didn't deserve it. That type of thing. Now, is Robertson a really good player? Does he deserve accolades? Yes. I'm just saying, it's just annoying though. Like the most annoying person getting accolades at work is can drive you nuts. So, because it's like it's all the whole Kirill Kaprizov competition thing, which can bug anybody. It might take the Sonmore approach because I can't think of anything else. Like outskating them, I don't know. Not with this team. Offense, defense. Either the Glenn Sonmore approach or the stalemate. Maybe shut them down so much that they get frustrated and they start taking penalties. But if only our defense could show up and play that way. Play to a level that we could frustrate them to a point that they start taking penalties. That's the only other way I can imagine. And then like a power play that can actually do something. But I don't know. It probably might take the Sonmore approach at this point because 6 power play attempts and we lose all of them. Or we failed on all of them. Next one, defenseman Brock Faber is getting to that point where he's reached the amount of games he'd have in a long college season. Do you think we'll see a lesser second half? As he might be wore out from all the heavy lifting he's had to do thus far. That's possible. He didn't have a great week this week, but again, at the same time, I come back to thinking it's a collective thing. Like the whole team just struggled so much that it affects everybody. Like your plus minuses and such. That's why people call that overrated a little bit. I think Faber is focused enough and healthy enough that he can hang in there and get to a 40-point type of season, that type of thing. It wouldn't surprise me and be a legitimate Calder Cup contender. Like he'll be at the table, he'll be at the banquet for it. I have a feeling he's going to be a nominee for it at the end of the day. He's definitely not going to be perfect, that's for sure. Well, yeah, duh. He's definitely not been as good the past few games, but I can imagine him getting through this and getting to 40 points. That's my humble opinion there. Derek again says, rumors are swirling about the possible NHL expansion to Atlanta again. Oh, Lord. Should they bring back the Thrashers as its name and logo, or should they go with something else this time around? Obviously, the Flames are taken. What say you? Why would they try it 3 times? I mean, the one team that should never have left should have been the Flames. That's a bummer that happened. But then again, Calgary's an awesome market. But I suppose, they could have probably had an expansion team around 1980 or so. Atlanta, again, I definitely say a different team name. I think the Thrashers was kind of meh. I really do. Question for you. Did you like the Thrashers? But maybe anybody out there, did you like the name Thrashers? That's a fun question. God, I would have loved the Flames. I'm not sure what the name could be, but I would say yes, go with something else. If Atlanta is definitely going to come back, and hopefully 3rd time's a charm for their sake, because gosh, 3 times, that's weird. I've never seen that happen. Not even the Oakland Raiders had 3 chances, which is funny. But yeah, something different. I think you can do better than like a little bird. Thrashers, that's a little bird. It sounds like a mean name, but that's all it is, a bird, like a little river bird. So, yeah, go with something a little better, whatever that could be, like a flame wolf or something. I don't know. No, the werewolves. Jay Bushy says that's a valid question too. Yeah, about Brock Faber. Yeah, it is. M.N. Johan and Jay Bushy and Tom Hayen will wrap it up here. M.N. Johan says, I suggest we get a fan gathering together where we all can burn all our old Stars sweaters and pictures of Norm Green as we chant Norm Green sucks. Who's in? And it's like, yep, all of us, right? Derek says, I like our Norm. Yeah, that would be sad to do that. I'd be up for making a Billy Goat pinata, and we can give it a Norm Green sucks sweater or a mini Ryan Suter jersey and bash it into oblivion. I'd be game for that. And I said that would be awesome. Yep. That would be funny. Jay Bushy says, as far as you're embracing the suck question, if they continue to play like this to the All-Star break, I think it's time. I do too. I think a post-All-Star break tear could help them. Your thoughts? Like the Wild go on a run again? Oh boy, I don't know. Maybe you're thinking it's time. Yeah. I'm thinking this team is at a point, like, I don't know. I don't see them making the playoffs this year. I think the ship has sailed. That's just my opinion, but maybe I'm just too negative. Yes, of course they can get hot again, and they just might go 2-1 this week. Heck, I predicted them to do so, which might be a little bit too optimistic at the end of the day. But I don't think this team is a playoff team. I guess that's my overall thoughts. I don't see this team making the playoffs, but hopefully we're not going to be stuck with like the 18, like mediocrity, like 10th, 15th pick. I'd rather have like top 5. That'd be great if humanly possible. Top 7 again, maybe. Tom Hayen says, let's play a game of Minnesota Wild. Didn't hand out an no move clause to every player that uttered I like it here. If the roster had 0 no move clauses on it, which players should be jettisoned at the deadline, assuming the team is light years from the playoffs? I would say at least a couple of the ones mentioned in the poll, like Foligno, Spurgeon, I think should be a name if he wasn't a no move clause. Like imagine we have a no move clause, I would definitely be up for moving Spurgeon. The only thing is I'm guessing people wouldn't want to take on the contract with his injury history, so that'd be a tough one. Foligno's a guy that I think could, somebody might be enticed by bringing him in for the playoffs. Especially if the team doesn't pay attention to what Foligno does in the playoffs, which is basically nothing at the end of the day. That's the one thing. It'd be hard to trade guys. I think Hartman you could trade for sure. Hartman I think is a tradable commodity. Merrill, like literally for a bucket of pucks, you might be able to get that. Maybe, but no, I mean, it'd be like cash considerations, future considerations. That's all you'd get for Merrill, but I would do it addition by subtraction, like today, and then you could have Damon Hunt be a regular. And then even possibly look at a Simon Johansson, see if he can crack it in the NHL as a third pair type of guy, at least for a short-term thing. Who knows? At like, minimum contract at the time. So, but yeah, it's like Foligno, I think, is way up there for me, and Hartman. Spurgeon, I would love to make a move, especially as like you have a Lambos or somebody coming up. But unfortunately, we're like a year or two away from that. But at least you have Damon Hunt possibly to be an NHL guy at this stage, hopefully. So great questions by everybody. Thank you, Jay, Tom, Johan, obviously Derek for sure, Steve Snyder. Really, really appreciate that and the interaction with the polls. So really appreciate that. Shout outs to Minnesota Wild Global, Scott Cavendish, Minnesota Wild Nation, Patrick Turner. Really appreciate you. MNW Prospects, Pavel Bennett, Justin Bakke. Awesome. MNW Prospects, and of course the MNW Young Guns, it's also called. So really big shout outs to you, and thank you again very much. Of course, Crease Assist Podcast, huge shout out forever. Derek Felska, Kalisha Tonsel, and Teresa Ferries, great job on the show, always. With that said, I just, we'll see. I'm going to stick to embrace the suckage. I don't see this as a playoff team, but I guess, I don't know. Maybe they'll make it about bleeping winning again, I guess. We'll see what happens. We'll talk about it next week, and hopefully I'll have another good poll for you, and really appreciate the interaction. Really do. Just want to keep saying that. Talk to you next week.